Hi, I'm Rebecca Roy. I manage the Park Interpretive Program for Vermont State Parks. And today I'm standing on the shore of beautiful Osmore Pond, which is within New Discovery State Park. And today, as we're spending time together exploring, we're going to be walking on the ancestral lands of the Abenaki people who have lived here for more than 10,000 years and continue to live here today. Now, New Discovery State Park is unique for a couple of reasons. First, it is the only state park where we have amenities for horse camping. So if you enjoy that, you could come here and camp with your horse. And we also have trails where you can ride your horse. In addition, there are wonderful hiking trails throughout Groton State Forest, and of course, beautiful lakes to paddle and fish on. And one other really cool thing is that New Discovery was built by the Civilian Conservation Corps.
A public works and economic growth revolution during tough times sparked the modern conservation movement and built the Vermont state park system we love today.
When Franklin Roosevelt became president, it was just 3 years after the massive stock market crash of 1929 and after the Dust Bowl happened. So the United States was really economically depressed. And in his first 100 days of office, he did a bunch of revolutionary things. And one of those was creating the Civilian Conservation Corps, or the CCC. And the CCC was a program where young men were recruited from mostly urban areas, although that was not always the case, and put in companies and sent to different works projects across the United States. And across the US, they built all kinds of infrastructure, dams for flood control, campgrounds, picnic areas, ski resorts, all sorts of outdoor recreation things. And here in Vermont, we were lucky to get a lot of crews across the state. We had about 40,000 men serving in the CCC in Vermont, working on all kinds of projects. And here in Groton State Forest, we had 2 companies, one located where I am at New Discovery State Park, and they were from Rhode Island, and then one located at Ricker Pond State Park, which is just south of here on Route 232, and those men were recruited from New York City.
The CCC crew stationed at New Discovery State Park, which was Crew 146, was known as a road crew because initially they were trained in road building and they built roads around Groton State Forest, including the one I'm standing on, which runs from New Discovery State Park all the way down to Osmore Pond. The first projects of the Civilian Conservation Corps across the country and in Vermont were soil conservation programs. And what they did is they planted Norway spruce and red pine plantations across the United States and here in Vermont and right here in Groton State Forest. And I'm standing directly in front of one of the Norway spruce plantations. Norway spruce are not a native tree to Vermont, but they don't spread like an invasive plant. They grow naturally. And you can tell it's a Norway spruce because they grow quite tall and their branches tend to dangle down. So if you see a spruce tree with branches dangling down, it's most likely a Norway spruce. And if you're in Vermont, most likely it was planted by the CCC boys because they planted over 1 million trees across Vermont, including these. And they've been growing here for almost 90 years. We actively manage Groton State Forest, and so we've been cutting these trees and milling them into lumber, and that lumber has been used in projects throughout Groton State Forest and throughout the whole state park system. So the legacy of the CCC boys lives on through all these wood products that we've made from the trees that they planted here. And behind me is where our park staff reside during the summer months. But originally, this building was built by the Civilian Conservation Corps, and it served as the headquarters for the CCC, located throughout Groton State Forest. All of the supervisors worked out of this building, and now it's housing for our park staff. Exploring around in the woods here at Camp S51 of the Civilian Conservation Corps, we found what we think is the entrance to the camp. And as you can see behind me, these stone pillars and a little bit of a stone fence left. And a space in these stone pillars is where they had logs going across. So where I'm standing here looks like it was the main road into the camp at the time. So where I'm standing is where people were coming and going in Camp S51, which is pretty exciting to see. And there's lots of remnants of the camp here in the forest at New Discovery State Park. I'm standing in a fireplace and chimney located here in the woods, and this is the remnants of the Recreation Hall of the Civilian Conservation Corps, Company 146. So this is all that's left of what was a large recreation hall here. And Company 146 was a team of young men from Rhode Island stationed here doing work in Groton State Forest. And they did a bunch of different projects here in Groton. They started out building roads, and they also built 4 remote campsites with lean-tos on Osmore Pond and 19 picnic spots with stone fireplaces. They also built this chimney and stone fireplace too. They lived in a very kind of paramilitary lifestyle here. They had barracks that they lived in, and there was also a mess hall, and you can see some of the remnants of the whole company campsite here. But this is all that's left of the recreation hall. And so their schedule was they woke up at 6 a.m. every day, they had breakfast here, then they traveled to whatever work project they were working on for the day, and they had lunch on site. Then at 4 p.m. they would come back here and have supper together at 6 p.m. But then from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. was free time for them to recreate on their own. And that's when this fireplace was probably utilized, and the rec hall was utilized, where they were playing card games, working on their newspaper because they had a newspaper for the camp, making music, playing sports games, and just enjoying each other's company and recreating here in the forest. So they worked hard together, and they played hard together. These young men were recruited to come here, and they were paid $30 a month, and $25 a month needed to be sent home to their family in Rhode Island. And that's about $490 a month in today's money. So they were working hard and also supporting their family and building the economy across the United States, because this is just one example of a company, and there were companies across Vermont and across the United States. In Vermont, about 40,000 men served in the CCC. So those crews built a lot of infrastructure throughout Groton State Forest. And here at New Discovery, they built campsites, picnic sites, and this beautiful picnic shelter where I'm standing right now. And it is going to last a lot longer than the about 90 years that it's been here. Each crew followed plans from the National Park Service. So if you're traveling around different Vermont state parks and you see these picnic shelters, they look similar, but each crew had a different foreman, a different leader, and so they interpreted the plans differently. And so it's fun to look around and see how these Civilian Conservation Corps built picnic shelters differ. And this crew that was here was known as a road crew, so because they started out building roads within Groton State Forest and moved on to projects like this one. But they built this picnic shelter to last. It has 2 support systems, so it has a truss system holding it up, but it also has purlins, and so it's double the strength of what we would probably build today, which makes the CCC Legacy live on. And you'll see as you get a close look, all of the logs are notched, so they fit perfectly together at the corners. And they were doing all this work by hand. Can you imagine how much work and energy that took to do this project? It's remarkable. In addition, in here, they poured the concrete floor, which has been repaired and fixed over the years, but still going strong. And they also built some of the picnic tables. And the picnic tables that they built are much sturdier than the modern day picnic tables. You can fit your whole extended family or your whole group of friends on one of these picnic tables for a picnic. So I invite you to come and visit Osmore Pond and take a look at this beautiful picnic shelter. The CCC Company 146, which is based out of New Discovery State Park, also built some things at Owl's Head. And one thing that they built was this beautiful small picnic shelter that overlooks a gorgeous view of Kettle Pond. In addition, they built some things we're going to look at the summit of Owl's Head. And one of the ways that they got materials up to the top of Owl's Head is a skid trail that's off to the side here from the picnic shelter that goes up through the woods to the summit. The CCC boys in Vermont not only built infrastructure, but they also did a lot of recreation type work, like building this set of stone steps that you see here on the climb up to the summit of Owl's Head. And this is a long set of stone steps. If you've ever built stone steps in the woods on a trail, or if you've ever had to move a rock, you know how much work you're looking at here. And it's lasted almost 90 years and will continue to be here to make this hike more enjoyable for visitors and Vermonters alike for many years to come. The CCC boys from Company 146 in New Discovery came to Owl's Head and did a lot of projects here, including building this stone fire tower at the summit. And as you can see, there's a lot of stone in this fire tower, and they dragged it by hand up that skid trail that we looked at when we were down below looking at the picnic shelter. So they dragged it all up here, built this structure, and there was excess stone that was left in a pile that in 2007 we used to build this interpretive sign. So the CCC Legacy lives on in this stone shelter that is almost 90 years old here on the top of Owl's Head. This Public Works and Economic Growth Program revolutionized and kick-started the modern conservation movement and created the beautiful network of state parks that we have in Vermont today. We love our state park system. We have 55 managed state parks across the state, and we really wouldn't have that if not for the CCC boys. And so I invite you, the next time you visit a Vermont state park, please look around and see what evidence of the CCC you see lasting in our state parks today.